I'm Stephanie Maher. I'm an American, an expatriate, I guess you'd say, living in Germany since 1996. And I'm the artistic director, I would say, and founder of this project outside Berlin. That's called Ponderosa. Ponderosa is a non-profit organization that deals with experimental forms of dance, improvisation, and social relations, I would say. And it's not particularly site-specific anymore. It may be a curational platform for people to share and use a nonprofit organization to create events together. And maybe experimental educational platforms. From the beginning, there was a strong connection to San Francisco, or this multidisciplinary dance scene that has grown and developed. People that come here are an international group of people, and we explore living together, eating together, figuring out how to make safe space for each other or not, or how to be in risky spaces together. We like to work with tasks and problems and spatial arrangements of where's the studio, to reconfigure how we see dance and where it fits. And a lot of things that are body-based practices around the body and somatic practices. Residencies, workshops, jams, happenings, concerts, installations. There are films. There's a library happening. There's hibernation, almost like people in the winter coming together to just talk, write, paint. But still, I feel underground is being in the body and holding that as kind of a hierarchical way of looking at intelligence or art making. I teach improvisation. I teach integrative practices that maybe connect things like Kundalini yoga and contact improvisation. I have a long history of teaching contact improvisation, alignment principles. I teach this thing I think I call it integrative movement practices. So it can be body work mixed into moving. I'm teaching something called the garden body. I don't even know what that is yet. I teach things I don't know what they are, and then I find out why we're doing them. I still teach or lead. I would say teaching is fun. I still lead and facilitate or host situations around performance and choreography. How we still make, how we expose our performances. So I'm still hosting that, I think, and facilitating those things. Yeah, I'm from Rhode Island. I ended up, I did East Coast, West Coast. I was in high school in San Diego, went back to the East Coast, school in New York, purchase. I loved to purchase, never wanted to leave. But then I ended up in New York City and not sure exactly who to dance with. A lot of Cunningham training and then Klein technique and whatever. I ended up in San Francisco for 10 years, and then thought I was going back to New York to dance with Bill D. Jones, but he rejected me, so I ended up in Berlin. It was during the 90s, and I just kept getting job offers and opportunities, and was really fascinated also with the squatting scene of Berlin, what was happening of rebuilding the city, and it felt super rich and full, and it kept inviting me somehow to participate. So I made a lot of collaborations really early. And even if I kept traveling and thinking I wanted to live somewhere else in Europe, Berlin just kept sucking me back. And right away, I would say I was there in 96. By 98, I really decided to stay in this community, K77, Kastanienallee 77 in Berlin. But then by 99, we found this farm also where we're sitting right now as we're speaking, in Brandenburg. And that was kind of the clincher. I thought I would have a home here. I didn't know exactly what we were doing here, but it was really a huge playground that I felt like, okay, this is now getting really interesting. So I guess pregnancy also shifts some things. I did fall in love with a German, and then I got pregnant, and then, I had 2 children. So by that time it was then, a real flow of improvisation, holding dance and family and communities, and not living, in a normal apartment. And yeah, so then it got really interesting. Next is really this question of service on a spiritual level. How to share in a open platform of transference of knowledge, how to give space to younger people that they also right away are like being integrated. Also to really acknowledge the difficulties of whatever capitalism, the scarcity mentality, the poverty mentality, people victimizing themselves, people feeling limited and not feeling like they have freedom or places to explore. I tried to make a project called Tipping Utopia that's about maybe this, it's so beautiful here. Yes, it is. Or they eat together, they're a community, they make art. Oh my God, everything's for free. None of that's true. To put that conversation on the table and make work about it. So I'm doing that for the next 3 years. And it could be a book, it could be just performances. So it's some sort of active archiving together. And it's calling people who've never been here before, as well as people from the past, to kind of remember some things. So time is not linear. Yeah, and the garden. Keep the garden going. That maybe really think about the next 20 years, what I'm going to leave here as landscape and resource. Because things are changing really fast, I think, on the environment. I have a lot of energy. I just do. I somehow feel like I was, though, given an enormous amount of, I don't know, guides of growing up in a really chaotic family. My father was really quite a crazy hippie in the 70s and also was a jack of all trades, did a lot of everything and had a garden and had built a geodesic dome on a river by himself. Like, this was very impressionable to me. And so I'm really attracted to people who are in motion, like physical motion, or like to make things, but also to do that kind of from their gut. So I think meeting Uli Kaiser, my partner, I think we're about 23 years together. Language is not our main form of like meeting, but doing things in real time. And yeah, I think that gave me just a tremendous amount of energy. I don't know. Yeah, I've always been a terribly physical person. And yeah, I'd rather do things than talk about it. And luckily I met a partner who's the same. And there was something about this form of improvisation and staying in the unknown that worked with us. So we didn't discuss how we were going to build things. We just took a wall down and we figured it out afterwards. But that passion still keeps going. I could grow old here and I think I'll be happy. I am planning a room and I made sure it's on the ground floor that my wheelchair can roll down the hill. It is an incredible place to consider to grow old, like to be around a place where I can host young people or more people to keep coming and using the infrastructure. And there's private space and there are friends here from the last 20 years that I think we all might keep sitting by the fire. We have children together and they're all connected. So that's pretty beautiful. Yeah, I could end up here, or 10 years from now, I could just go back to Rhode Island and hope that I can afford to live in my country. But somehow it was so cheap. And we did live in really bad standards for a long time. I lived in a construction site for 10 years. I moved in and out of every room and I made compromises a lot around hot water and toilets. And it was really fun. And as you get older, you want a little more comfort, but I think I paid my dues. Like, I have a beautiful place to live if I want to stay here. I probably did most of the things I did out of pure fear, absolute fear. Like, I probably learned to perform really just to overcome fear. I moved here just to see what it's like to be somewhere where I didn't understand anything. I don't know. I think that's given me a lot of things, a lot of beautiful things in my life. Yeah. Because I know I'm a little bit extroverted on the outside. I seem really big and moving, but